Last night, the UFC announced Jamahal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree. I already did an entire video on that. I will link it down in the description as well as the end cards if you want to go check it out. But what I want to talk about in this video is Jamahal Hill completely embarrassing himself. He did a video about the Khalil Roundtree fight where he also addressed UFC 300 versus Alex Pereira, and he said some completely delusional things. And on top of that, I really think he embarrassed himself badly at UFC 300 in the lead up beforehand, trying to quote unquote sell the fight. And then on top of that, and I suspected this, but you had DC and Chael Sonnen making excuses for Jamahal Hill. And DC, I went and checked out the source material. I saw the clip on Twitter. DC exposed Jamahal Hill. Jamahal Hill is really the one pushing the excuse narrative while trying to act like he's not pushing the excuse narrative. So we're going to look at all that in this video. Let's jump into it right away, because we're going to look at a clip of Jamahal Hill talking about Pereira before the fight. And this is probably one of those perfect videos that someone could make, like a quick edit, or keeping it real goes wrong. So I remember this clip, and I just wanted to go back and listen to it, because I really think it just shows how badly Jamahal Hill embarrassed himself, and also how his confidence, his overconfidence, and his delusion is affecting his career, and how he made horrible decisions at UFC 300. But let's listen to what Jamahal Hill had to say about 5 months ago about Alex Pereira. Let's take a listen.
I have to put a severe ass whooping on him just for the simple fact of the disrespect of how y'all are coming at me, and bro, I'm making a very assertive point, and and mark my words when I say this, there will be no, I do not plan on taking him down. I do not plan on wrestling him. I plan on going in there in where y'all think he's just this otherworldly guy because he did kickboxing and I didn't do kickboxing. You know, this is a completely different sport. Kickboxing is kickboxing. MMA is MMA. I've been doing MMA for years. I've been bred in MMA. And whenever I do fight him, standing, I will knock him out. And when I do, I'm going to rub it in every single one of y'all face.
There you go. I'm not going to grapple. I'm going to stand with him, and I'm going to knock him out because I'm better, blah, blah, blah. And I don't necessarily have any huge issues with this. I just wanted to show it because it aged so badly after he got brutally KO'd by Alex Pereira at UFC 300. He's like, yeah, when I win, I'm going to rub it in everyone's faces. And I know there's some people who are sympathetic to Jamahal Hill, and I am a little bit sympathetic to him. But at the end of the day, you talk all this shit, whether it's to promote a fight or not to promote a fight. If Jamahal Hill would have won, you know how badly he would have, been, I don't even know what rubbing it in. I guess I'll take his words. You know how badly he would have been rubbing it in to everyone under the sun? That would have been the highlight of his career. He would have never let anyone live that down. Like, I told you I was going to knock out Pereira. And this is coming from a guy who picked Jamahal Hill to win. Okay, I thought Jamahal Hill was going to win. But he's like, yeah, I'm going to knock him out standing, which just goes to show. And honestly, the more I see of Jamahal Hill, the more I think he's dumb as a box of rocks. Honestly, the more I keep seeing of him, I do believe he's actually dumb. I always thought he kind of put on this persona and he didn't believe half of what he said. But I'm starting to believe he believes what he said. I'm not going to go in there and grapple against literally the best striker in the division. Delusional. But anyway, that's 5 months ago. That's keeping it real goes wrong, basically. Now, next up, I want to show you Exhibit B of Jamahal Hill embarrassing himself. I know some people are going to say I'm being too harsh here, but the fact that Jamahal Hill went up to Pereira and asked him for an autograph, when I saw that initially, I thought that was the corniest, weakest shit I've ever seen in my entire life. Maybe I'm being too harsh here. You guys will have to let me know. But this just wasn't a good look, the way Jamahal had been acting, the energy that he had. And then he runs into Pereira and he's like, "Oh, let me get your autograph, please." Watch this.
Even though we're gonna go to battle, we're gonna do our thing. I'm still a fan. I still respect you. I still appreciate you.
Independente de qual que vocês vão sair na porrada, vocês vão lutar, mas eu te respeito como fã, respeito como
could.
AKA, let me suck you off and get your autograph.
You could if you wanted to. It's up.
Se você puder fazer isso aí.
Chama. Let's put on a show Saturday.
Vamos dar show sabadão.
Thank you.
So there you go. Then, actually, I'll leave this up for a second. I didn't even watch this all the way through. Someone put this edit together. Then he shows up to the UFC press conference, and he has this stone head. Obviously, Pereira's kind of, nickname, or people always use the stone head to identify Pereira. He comes up with this like bloodied and battered stone head, and he's talking shit at the press conference. I don't remember all of what he said. It wasn't anything crazy, but Pereira's been nothing but respectful. What Jamahal Hill was salty about earlier when, saying, oh, people are disrespecting me. People saying that he would lose to Pereira were disrespecting. In his mind, that's disrespect. Even choosing against him is disrespect, which is absolute insanity. But anyway, he talks shit at the press conference. He shows up with the stone head. Pereira really doesn't say much, but Pereira goes out there and brutally KOs him in the first round with a nasty left hook and puts him to sleep. I think he flash KO'd him with the left hook, and I think it once or twice on the ground with the ground and pound flash KO'd him. That's very important because we're going to listen to what Jamahal Hill had to say in his newly released video. By the way, everything I show in this video, I'll link down in the description if you want to go check it out. But next, I want to start the parade of excuses because Chael Sonnen came out of the woodworks, DC came out of the woodworks, and DC exposed Jamahal Hill by mistake, and he realized he did in the video, but nobody picked up on that. Or nobody saw it. I know the clip was circulating around, but I don't know if that particular point was in it because it was a couple days ago when I saw it. I've been meaning to make this video, but I was waiting for Jamahal Hill to drop something. But you have Chael Sonnen making excuses for Jamahal Hill. I hate to even listen to this. I mean, Chael Sonnen is one of the worst cheaters in UFC history, is a guy that is massively overrated just because he knew how to use his mouth. And his biggest accomplishment in his entire UFC career is losing to Anderson Silva and getting finished by Anderson Silva. That's his biggest accomplishment in his entire career. He's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame because Anderson Silva wrapped his legs around Chael Sonnen. That's the epitome of Chael. Now he makes videos talking in circles for 15 to 20 minutes. This one's in particular is 13 minutes. He says a whole lot of nothing. And I honestly believe Chael Sonnen, I don't honestly believe, I believe this is a fact. He's just rambling about topics solely for ad revenue. And I understand technically that's what YouTube is, but I consider him a con man. I consider him a scam artist. I consider him, a felon as well because he was caught for fraud. I believe it was mortgage fraud back in the day or insurance fraud back in the day as well. So not only, I don't even actually know if it was a felony or not, but he's a criminal. He's a criminal. He's a con man. He's a scam artist. And he's still scamming people on YouTube by making videos. Jamahal Hill lost his focus against Alex Pereira, where he rambles for 13 minutes and really says nothing of any substance. And I think his channel is actually dying. His views compared to his subscribers are actually craziness. So that's why I think he's posting 12 videos a day, because he needs to make up for that revenue he used to make back when he used to actually make decent content. But let's listen to what Chael had to say against my better judgment. Let's listen to what the con man has to say.
But Jamahal stops. And not 100%, right? If this is an automobile, I'm not saying that he put it in park and got out of it, but he stops. He stopped doing what he was doing and started doing something else, which was to relax. And then he's going, okay. And you would understand where that would be that brief second. Like if that were you, you'd think that, right? You've never seen a referee step in and a fighter tell him get back. Like if the ref comes in after you just kicked the guy low, you're going to have a break in the action. So Jamahal begins that break in the action when Herb gets notified and makes the decision that he's going to get out of it. At which point Jamahal, there's like another beat, and he does just like this. Can you guys see me?
I don't even.
It's going to be very.
I was going to say I don't even know if I can listen to any more of this. I can't stand this guy.
Very slight. Can you see me? I'm going to do it right now. Are you ready? That's what Jamahal did, and he might have even said something. But this is what he did. He took his eye off that ball just for a second, but he turns that way, and now he's got to get back in. As he turns his head, Alex took the angle. This has never been spoke of, right?
Okay, yeah. It's never been spoke of, Chael. Thank you for rambling 13 minutes. Essentially, the excuse that Chael Sonnen and others, and Jamahal Hill, indirectly, is parading around is, well, the low blow, and then Herb starts to step in and Pereira told him no, and basically Pereira caught him slipping afterwards. Even though, if you go back and watch replay, I'd show it on screen if I wasn't scared the UFC would copyright it because it's a recent pay-per-view. Jamahal Hill and Pereira touch gloves, and then Pereira throws a left hand. and then he gets countered with a left hook, and that's when he gets dropped. So that's the excuse. And to be fair, I've even said personally, I think it can throw off your rhythm a little bit. But come on, we're blaming an entire loss on the fact that, there was a brief 1-second stoppage where you were still paying attention and the ref told you to continue and you touched gloves and you were the one that threw the first strike. What do you think Jamahal Hill would think if he would have landed that left straight and KO'd Pereira? Would he say, I feel bad because it's a low blow? Absolutely not. But that's what Chael's parading. And then you have DC. I want you to listen to DC very carefully here because he exposes Jamahal Hill. Jamahal Hill is the one calling guys behind the scenes and pushing certain narratives to guys. And I think he told DC. DC basically says that Jamahal Hill told me it was because of the low blow, which Jamahal Hill says wasn't even a low blow when we look at his video, which absolutely drove me nuts because it was a low blow. But let's listen to what DC says, and he exposes Jamahal Hill for being the one to push this narrative. But it was very clear in Jamahal Hill's updated video reacting to 300 as well as the Khalil Roundtree fight. Let's listen.
But why is more not being made, Ben, about the fact that 5 seconds later, Ben?
I don't see the issue here. I mean,
But Jamal,
it's first time in the world I agree with Ben Askren.
Jamal. So Jamal thinks, and again, he's worked.
Let's rewind that back, guys. Listen to this. Listen to this again. I'm just gonna rewind it a few seconds, but listen.
5 seconds later, Ben.
I don't see the issue here. I mean,
But Jamal. So Jamal thinks, and again,
Jamal thinks. So Jamal told this to DC. Jamal told DC to push this narrative. And you see DC is like, he takes a big gulp. He realized he shouldn't have said it like that. And he stumbled over his words. We'll watch it one more time, and we're going to listen to a little bit more of what DC said. But listen to it.
Ben.
I don't see the issue here. I mean,
But Jamal. So Jamal thinks, and again, he's working through losing the fight and everything else.
yeah.
But when I rewatched and Southpaw Conventional, it's very
Yeah, I know what
important
you're saying.
that
Yep.
the foot, right?
Foot stays
the
on
foot,
the outside.
always.
Yes.
For the most part, Jamal was controlling the outside with his foot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When they broke, Alex took position.
Yes.
When you rewatch it, left hand lands, knocks him down, man. So, I mean, I'm not trying to play conspiracy theory here.
No, you're just making excuses for Jamahal Hill because Jamahal Hill asked you to privately, would be my guess. And it's pretty clear in Jamahal Hill's video. He believes the same thing. He doesn't get into it too deep because he knows he's going to get absolutely slaughtered for it. But Jamahal Hill subtly makes the same excuses, and he says a couple completely delusional things in his video, which we're going to take a look at next. This is his recent video titled, Jamal Talks UFC 300 Fight versus Alex and UFC 303 Fight versus Khalil Roundtree. And I knew the second I seen those pictures come out, I knew Jamahal Hill was going to be salty as hell about this loss. And I mean, this is a 9-minute video. We're going to take a look at a couple different clips from it. You can tell, man, he's tight over this loss. He is tight over this loss, which I don't blame him. But at the end of the day, just accept Pereira was the better man. Stop making excuses and stop talking about the fight in such a delusional manner. How can you get better if you can't accept the fact that a guy beat you fair and square? And it starts off with Jamahal Hill acting like he was dominating the fight. Listen to this. This is just craziness.
Heading into the fight, I felt that in the fight I was doing good things. I was moving around. I felt I controlled the distance. I was controlling the position. I was controlling all the things, working through my game plan.
So you get it. Oh, he was controlling everything. The fight was like 2 minutes long and you got brutally KO'd. It's like 3 minutes long, actually. Then this next part really actually grinded my gears. This one actually really got me tight, okay? Got me tight. He acts as if Pereira faked a low blow to not get a stoppage. Or Herb Dean messed up thinking it was a low blow. I've gone back and watched it. The toes do graze, the foot does graze the cup of Pereira. No doubt about it. He acts as if there was no low blow to begin with, which there was. Because if it touches anywhere on, the groin area, on the way up or the way down, it is a low blow. So Jamahal Hill, you touched Pereira's nutsack before he KO'd you, okay? Listen to what he had to say.
there was a fight, and a lot of people I've seen the controversy of people speaking on the stoppage and things like that with Herb after I kicked Alex in the hip and it appeared to be a low blow.
After I kicked Alex in the hip and it appeared to be a low blow. No, it was a low blow. The foot toes grazed the groin area. It was a low blow. Herb had every intention. You could hear the cup shot. When you listen to it live, you can hear the cup shot. But he's getting into the theories behind, oh, well, because of the stoppage, it threw off the rhythm. And you can tell he believes those excuses. That's his excuse. He believes he only lost to Pereira because of this low blow and this stop in action threw him off his rhythm. But he doesn't come right out and say it. He beats around the bush. But if you can read between the lines, that's what he's saying here.
And I'm just going to say, just protect yourself at all times, While my feelings on it, honestly, just don't matter, just for the simple fact a lot of people didn't like how I sold the fight. They don't.
So he acknowledges a lot of people didn't like how I sold the fight, aka his trash talk in the lead up. So he knows if I make excuses now, I'm going to get absolutely slaughtered. So instead of saying, it threw off my rhythm, that's the only reason I got caught, it threw me off, he got outside foot position, blah, 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 my timing was off after the stoppage, or I thought there was going to be a break, and there was. He's like, oh, in my opinion, really doesn't matter, it's protect yourself at all times. But listen, he goes on more.
They didn't like the build up to the fight, they don't like me personally, so it's irrelevant. I just take it as a lesson learned, and just grow from it from there, and just understand that it's protect yourself at all times. It's protect yourself at all times, and pay attention and stay focused at all times. Even through anything, even through commands and through gamesmanship at that.
So in a way, he's saying, well, Herb told me to stop, I stopped, and that's why I got KO'd. That's kind of what he's saying, okay? I don't want to put words in his mouth, but that's kind of what he's alluding to here. He's making excuses without actually making excuses, but the thing that really drove me nuts, yeah, well, I kicked him in the hip, and it appeared to be a low blow. No, it was a low blow. It was a low blow, but it gets worse. It genuinely gets worse with his assessment of how he performed in the fight, or his assessment, really, of the finish itself, which was just, I never expected to hear this. I genuinely, I don't know if it's CTE, I don't know, low IQ, I don't know if he's just dumb as a box of rocks. Because what he says here, I almost gasped when I heard him say this. I'm like, does he really believe this? Does he have anyone that cares about him, surrounding him, telling him, look, that this is just not true. This is just factually not true. But he says he took no damage against Pereira. Listen to this. I mean, this is craziness. I mean, the ultimate, how bad is he coping? I only lost because of Herb Dean, and I didn't take any damage, really. And he even says I wasn't put out. Listen to, you hear it from Jamahal Hill himself.
I took no damage. Most of the fall was me falling down. I remember everything. I remember looking up, seeing his legs. I remember him coming in, trying to block, trying to reach for the underhook. He's able to land some shots and kind of throw my equilibrium off on the other side. But I was coherent the whole time, throughout and through for the most part, So I'll take this on. We moving forward. I'm going to put it on this next guy, Khalil Roundtree.
He's going to put it on this next guy. Yeah, you put it on Khalil, Jamal. You put it on him like you put it on your brother at Thanksgiving. But yeah, to say he was coherent the whole time, to say he was never out, that's crazy. His eyes rolled back in his head when he got hit with that left hook. There was multiple times, once or twice, I think it was. So it might have only been once. But that he was flash KO'd with the ground and pound shots. He went out 150%, and he genuinely believes that he took no damage. So essentially, there's a potential that he got flash KO'd 3 times over the span of 15 seconds, and he thinks I took no damage. Does he not know the definition of damage? Does he just think damage means cuts? I don't know. I can't speak for Jamal, but someone should be telling him. And I talked about it in my video from last night. I don't think it's a good idea for an 8-9 week turnaround after getting brutally finished by Pereira. But I mean, it is a favorable matchup to him in Khalil Roundtree, but the fact that he's saying I took no damage, that is craziness. Now, next, he starts to allude to excuses pre-fight, that he wasn't ready for the fight, and he doesn't outright say that. Again, he's trying not to come off as the ultimate salty, former light heavyweight champion, but he's basically saying, I was injured leading into the fight. I was dealing with some stuff leading into the fight. Listen to this.
I don't cry about adversity. I meet it head on. Even just coming into this last fight, I had my adversities and my things, to deal with. And just like every fighter, just like any fighter going into a fight does.
So he was dealing with adversity. He was dealing with things coming in this fight. Again, kind of setting up the narrative for why he lost this fight. After all the crap he talked, he's snapping the bow over his leg, and he's waving Pereira to come into the cage. Little did he know he was waving Pereira to come into the cage to KO him. Look, Jamahal, Alex Pereira is a trained fighter. He's a former kickboxing champion. He is a current UFC champion. This is not your brother at Thanksgiving over the stuffing, okay? That you sucker punched, allegedly, in front of his wife and your kids. That's not who Alex Pereira is. He's a trained fighter. And to make all these excuses, he just came out and said, look, Pereira was the better man. He beat me that night. I look forward to earning a rematch with him and exacting my revenge in the future, like I did to my brother back at Thanksgiving. Okay, the last clip I want to show you is just something I kind of thought was a little bit funny. And I was like, pause. I was listening to this whole thing. But he's kind of talking about the Khalil Roundtree fight. Again, I don't think it's a great idea. I think it's a matchup that he should win. I don't think it's a great idea to take this fight on a quick turnaround. But he talks a little bit about that here.
Press conference, everything, that was just fire competitors. I'm a heated competitor.
I'm sorry, he's talking about the press conference. I'm an idiot. But he does. I thought he talked a little bit about Khalil here, but maybe I'm wrong. But he also says a very funny quote here.
Fire competitors. I'm a heated competitor. I play basketball. I'm one of those guys that gets fired up, and I'm gonna get in your face, and I come with a lot of intensity.
So he's gonna get in your face and come with a lot of intensity.
That rub people the wrong way. It is what it is. I'm gonna continue to be who I am. Being me has allowed me to change my life.
So there you go. I think that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the gist of this. So Jamahal Hill is the one telling people to push the narrative that the timing of the stoppage from Herb Dean is what caused him to get KO'd. He was dealing with adversity going into the fight. He took 0 damage. He was dominating the fight up until Herb Dean stopped it. The guy is delusional, and honestly, I think it's horrible for his career, and I don't think he's ever going to be champion. With this attitude, I don't think he's ever going to be champion again. The light heavyweight division isn't particularly stacked, but I think Hill was overrated for beating an old Glover Teixeira. I'm guilty of overrating Jamahal Hill, and then, coming back from a long layoff, I thought, okay, he's had a long layoff from the UFC, but he did get a tune-up fight against his brother back at Thanksgiving. So I thought, okay, he got a tune-up fight. Most fighters don't get a tune-up fight. He's going to be raring to go against Pereira. He's going to sleep Pereira out cold. He's not dumb enough not to mix in the grappling. He's just saying that publicly, but he's going to mix in a little bit of grappling. And he just went out there, stood in front of Pereira. Pereira marched him down, stalked him, jabbed him to the body, kicked his legs off, and then clipped him up with a nasty left hook that barely touched him. Made his eyes roll back, and then flash KO'd him with brutal ground and pound. And then Herb Dean had to stop the fight, and then you seen Pereira go. And I think Jamal's struggling with that. I think he's struggling with that loss, and that's why he has to cope so desperately with the fact that he lost this fight after the way he acted, and then he has to say, I was just selling the fight. Well, part of selling the fight is dealing with the backlash when you end up losing, when you're like, yeah, I'm going to rub everyone's nose in it after I beat Pereira and I KO Pereira. So Jamahal Hill, obviously upset about the loss, which I don't blame him for, but stop with the excuses. You're just going to build back better. You're going to come back, and you're going to get the title back. That's all you need to say. He was the better man that night. I look forward to avenging my loss in the future. You don't need to talk about your adversity coming into the fight. You don't need to talk about, yeah, people are hating me because I tried to sell the fight at the press conference and everything. And, if it wasn't for that Herb Dean and those meddling kids, I wouldn't have got brutally KO'd with a left hook. And the fact that he can't even admit he took damage is crazy to me. Jamahal Hill, very, very delusional. Check out his video. Check out his channel. I remember a while ago, you know, when he's threatening Ariel Helwani for clout. You know, he wants to build up his YouTube channel, obviously, as a revenue stream for the future. So if you guys want to, go support Jamahal Hill. Go check out his video. I'll link it down in the description. Go subscribe to his channel. Let me know what you guys think of this down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And thank you so much for watching.